In this chapter, we're going to explore the drag and drop APIs which have landed in the web browser natively, which then allow us to add some drag and drop functionality to our web application. Now, this is one of my all-time favorite APIs, so I'm going to have good fun showing you lots of different things and introducing some new concepts for you throughout this next chapter. Now, if you haven't seen drag and drop before, it will essentially allow us to perhaps reorder items. We might also be able to drag, for instance, some files, which I'm sure you've done before, when we want to upload perhaps an image or a PDF or absolutely anything to a server perhaps, where we have a drag and drop box, where we can drag files in, and then magically behind the scenes, our files are then uploaded. We can also perhaps have a list of to-do items. We might have a to-do list, and then we can reorder by just simply dragging those to-do items. So depending on what you want to achieve with your next web applications, the drag and drop API give you lots of opportunities to introduce some really nice features. Now, before we get going, as with everything, I like to create some kind of initialization function, and then we would only invoke this if our drag and drop was supported by the browser. So this init function will only get called if in fact drag and drop is supported. So what we're going to do is just wrap our initialization function inside an if statement. Now, much like other videos in this course, we'll start them all by understanding how to feature detect. And this is something that I've always done. I found it really helpful, is making sure we can use those particular features, and we could then provide a fallback if the features perhaps weren't supported. Now, when we go and create an element, we would do something typically like this. So we would say document.createElement. This then behind the scenes goes ahead and just creates a div for us in memory. If we don't go ahead and use it, it then simply gets garbage collected and simply destroyed. Now, this div will be returned to us as part of this condition. So what we can actually say is using the in operator, which we know looks up the prototype on this div element. And I'll log this out for you in a moment. But essentially, we're going to be checking for an attribute called draggable. So whether this draggable property exists on our document create element of our div. If it does exist, then we do have drag and drop fully supported by the browser. So what we're going to do is console log this out, open up our console, and you can see that we just have a div. Now, if I change this over from a console log and save this out, we can expand our div, and we can then see all the properties which are available for us. Now, at the moment, we have draggable false. That doesn't mean that it isn't supported. It is supported. What it means is that the value of draggable is false. If we were to set this draggable to true, we would then actually be able to drag this div around the screen and perhaps reorder things as we'd like. So that's a quick introduction. That's how you can feature detect whether we have a draggable feature available in our browser. We then logged it out in the console to see our created div. And this is just a nice simple check. It's a little bit different because it's an API built onto the actual DOM nodes themselves rather than being on the window perhaps. So with that in mind, we're going to learn how to create draggable elements, learn how to drag things onto a drop target, move particular elements, look at highlighting things when we drag them over. We set an active state and removing the active states. We're then going to learn how to drag and drop files, and then we're going to post them off to a server. There's also some really nice stuff in here with the new file API, which we're going to explore as well. So that's it for this video. Let's dive into the next one and start building out our drag and drop functionality.